everybody? Jeez, it is Dominic D'Angelo of SEScoops.com to see us here today on the Premier Streaming Network, potentially, if you're watching on Friday. But I am here. It is one of a kind with RVD. And guess who's here? Guess who is here? I can't believe it. It's RVD. Rob.
What?
What? You're here? Jeez.
I love RVD. He's so effing cool.
What about the Polish Prince? Do you like him?
He's got potential.
He's got potential, you think? Okay. Robbie V. Now, I heard good things about Robbie V, though. Matt Burns, not so much. He was a bit of a black sheep.
Dude, I need like a action figure package with all these different shades of me.
All the evolution of RVD. It's just
I was an international patriot, flying tiger.
Would the Battle Barbarian be in there too?
Absolutely.
Absolutely sweet.
For sure.
We gotta start. That's the one way we can start getting promotion going. Is that?
Hey, we should bring photos of this stuff maybe for the show. You think so or no?
Oh yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Like if people are watching it, boom, put a photo up of the Battle Creek Barbarian.
I like it. Send them my way too. I'll put them up on social media and get some shit cooking on there too. So
we were just talking about trying to get some different things going to make the show interesting, and maybe doing more live, maybe regularly going live into the recorded episodes. So as always, listen to me tell you to comment below, ignore it, and go on about your day.
Yes. So give us some feedback. If you guys want something and you have an idea that you'd like to see us do, let us know, and we can try to make it happen if it seems to fit the whole bill of it all. So do it to it. Rob, you were in New York this past weekend, weren't you?
Yes.
How was it?
It was awesome. It was a great trip. It was cold, and it's not anywhere near as cold as it's going to get. That's what I just kept thinking, like, fuck, I didn't bring a jacket. I had to wear Katie's sweater that she brought around town. But we went, Katie was booked at a booth for UWW signing autographs at Mr. Olympia. Is that what it was? I think it was Mr. Olympia.
It was was that what it's called?
I think so.
Okay.
It doesn't sound right, but I think that's what it is. And I don't know, maybe not, but it's I think that's what it was. But anyway, awesome convention. It was so overwhelmingly huge and everything. We didn't talk about this last week? No, I guess we did.
No, you were talking about going there. And,
okay.
The aspect of what was happening.
Well, I figured there'd be a crossover between the bodybuilding and my life because I'm a wrestler. I lift weights. I figured there'd be a crossover, but I felt like everything there was my life. I was surprised at how much I could relate to everything the vendors had, from protein to pre-workout to outfits to equipment to different proteins, kratom, gummies, bunch of kratom booths. There was so much going on, and then also activities at the same time, like way over in the place is so big, 1 million square footage it seems like, but way over in this corner, they're on stage flexing, doing a bodybuilding pose down here, fitness competition. Over by the bathrooms, all these power lifters are back there. Dude, I walked by the bathroom and I looked, and there was this dude with a big barrel chest, standing there. And he had all these plates on the bar, on the bench press. There was too many plates to bother counting, I started counting, and I was just like, no, I ain't got time for that. I was like, dude, how much is that, bro? 880 pounds.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I saw him put it up. He's like, dude, I'm a big fan. Can I get a picture? I'm like, 880 pounds, bro. Do you remember, like, not that long ago, it seemed like when Ted Arcidi had the world bench press record, what was it? It was 712 or 715? Yeah, that was the world record, and Jesse Ventura was like, I only helped 4 pounds worth. He still did 709. It's probably a horrible Jesse. I used to do Jesse better.
That's
Anyway,
pretty good, though. That's still-
anyway, I was impressed. I saw him put it up. He came right back over to me. Can I get another picture? I don't think that one turned out. I was just like, dude, sure, man. What the fuck? You're a monster, bro. And he was so big that, he didn't really have very far to go because his chest and everything. He's such a barrel. It's a really short movement when you're that big. And holy fuck, I've never seen that many plates on a bar before. But overall, I can't wait to go back to the next one.
That's awesome. So This was separate than what you were doing too. Katie was at a bodybuilding.
Yeah, no, I was just there to hang out with her, I think. No, we did a convention. That's right. That was the weekend before. That's why I thought we talked about it, bro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we did. That's why. Yeah, that was the weekend before we did. I went there. 11/11 was our anniversary. No, it was the same fucking. I'm confused as fuck now. I went there at the Olympia. That was in Orlando. Sorry, I get it now. It's starting to make sense now. That was in Orlando, and that was the week before in New York. I was in a town I'd never heard of, I think called Bedford, New York.
Yes, I think that sounds right, actually, because Kevin Nash was there too. Right?
Brentwood sounds more. Mm-hmm. And anyway, it was the big event, which is at least annual. I think maybe semi-annual. Maybe they do a couple times a year, but they moved locations from being down by the I think it was by the JFK airport. They used to do in the movie Headstrong with RVD. I go to the big event, and you see me meeting all the wrestlers there. It was Bruno Sammartino's very last public appearance. No shit. Bobby Heenan's in there, one of his last appearances. King Kong Bundy is in there. I'm really glad that I got that footage in Headstrong. It's a really emotional part of the movie, especially by the way Joe Clark made it slow-mo and put this piano music. It kind of it makes it really emotional. And also I saw Pat Tanaka, who I hadn't seen since I was probably like 21 or something. And again, this year at big event, I saw Pat Tanaka. Those are the only 2 times I've seen him in like 30 years.
He must live in the area, huh, or somewhere on there.
Maybe that is it. I was trying to figure that out, and I was like, I don't see him at all these conventions. Like, he must just have a guy that works at the big event that wants to book him, or what, And I asked him, like, are you, do you do other cons? I don't ever see you. And he was like, bro, I'm done. And I was like, I know what you mean, man. I go through this. He goes, no, I'm done. I'm like, okay, well, good seeing you.
All right, Pat. Talk to you later.
Yeah. But traveling is a motherfucker, and I go through my own, I don't know if I want to call them neurotic episodes. Like every time I travel, I still go through all these cycles in my head of not wanting to go to work, not wanting to, but I kind of do the same thing almost with any appointment. Why did I take this booking? And I have a hard time just even like getting out of my comfort zone. And that's something that, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that I could be so comfortable. I worked so hard to be so comfortable, but now it is hard to break out of it. And then, and I do that every day, before my matches too. I don't want to do it, and I go through these things where eventually I come back around, I stretch, I start feeling good, like Superman, like, boom, yeah, let's do this, and I just feel like running sideways, boom, down the hallway, and fucking feeling great. But I do that. So I kind of thought maybe that's what he was talking about, like maybe he had a hard travel day or something, but
he was just done.
I might not see Pat Tanaka again. That's what I'm thinking.
You just might be done.
Man, he was very instrumental way back in the day, when I was in Tampa, when I first got the name Rob Van Dam by Ron Slinker. Pat Tanaka was one of the, for a minute there, he was the booker at the Sportatorium in Tampa. And he was a training, the young guys that would work out in the ring or whatever. And so I knew him from both of those,
Yeah.
One time I was in the ring working out, and this is when I was barefoot. And he called me over to the side of the ring. Rob, come over here. I was like, all right. And I went over, and I just kind of like went through the ropes, but hugged the rope so that I could just come down like on my knees on the apron.
Mhm.
Bam! I hit the corner of the apron. It went right between my toes, and it broke my toe. And one toe was folded over the other toe, like in a right angle. And I was like, like I was like so young. I wasn't used to seeing that yet. I learned from that injury that you don't cancel a match just because you broke your toe in the daytime. You tape it to your other toe and you keep going. You fucking pussy. That's what I learned.
You're right.
Yeah.
So, man, yeah, Pat Tanaka. I just remember him from like the Diamond Exchange.
With Paul Diamond.
Yeah, Paul Diamond.
Yep.
And
called me over there, and he wanted to break me out of my comfort zone, out of my shell. I was shy, right? Somehow, I guess he could tell that I was shy. He was over there with his feet kicked up while we're working out, singing this song. And he thought it'd be a good idea to give me the microphone and have me sing the song karaoke style.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm embarrassed as hell. I'm a 20-year-old kid with red face going, oh my God, I don't know the words. So whenever I hear this song, I will always think about this embarrassing experience because Pat, he loved the song. He was feeling it. And when I hear the words, I get it now. It relates to the wrestling lifestyle. Maybe that's why he wanted me to sing it. Maybe he thought that I would get it, that I would relate to it and feel it because it's that song. Let's see, something at the hotel. Something in the hotel, stare at the wall. I have accountants pay for it all. They say I'm crazy, but I have a good time. That song. Whenever I hear that, I'll always think of that. Because Pat was over there with his feet kicked up, I stare at the wall. And I'm thinking like he probably does. He's at the hotel rooms,
Yeah.
They were at that point where they were rocking on WWE and doing some serious partying. And I was like, okay, I get it. That's his lifestyle. But dude, I just got out of high school. Leave me alone. I'm shy.
Right. Joe Walsh, life's been good to me so far. I think is that
okay.
Yeah, I think that's it. Life's been good to me so far.
Yeah, I never even knew that's what they were saying until just right now, but that makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's totally what they're saying.
Yeah, how about that then?
Yeah, I do that. I hear songs my whole life, and because I'm not musically inclined, sometimes I never hear the words. And then one day I'll be listening to the radio, and it's so clear, and I'm like, "That's what they're singing about." Like I used to hear that song when I was 7, in the car with my mom on the way to the grocery store, and I've never listened to it until just now. That happens a lot with me. Yeah, I tell people all the time I'm not musically inclined. I don't use music as the backdrop to my life or let it subconsciously control my thoughts any more than than I can help anyway.
Yeah. So like you were saying a couple episodes ago, just how much music influences, and it's almost like a hypnotizer, a brainwash almost in certain ways. Like you get accustomed to feeling that certain way. And
sure, people totally give themselves to that with that in mind. Like they want to feel it, they want to rock it, and they want that. They want it to take over and move them. And it's like that's exactly what you're doing. Is you're saying, hypnotize me, music.
You're right. Get your dance face on.
Yeah.
Get your
exactly.
Well, cool. We had a little bit of feedback I noticed on YouTube, so let's bring some of that up here.
I wish people would talk about the dance face. I never heard anybody comment on it.
No, right?
I have to bring it up on a bigger platform.
Well, I'm gonna have to clip it. I'm gonna clip it again and put it up on YouTube. All right, here's a good one. This was in regards to the Dreads guy from South Philly, the fan that you interacted with at the Oregon Diner.
Okay, cool. Dread, good guy. Good
bro,
crazy.
man. Oregon Diner is my spot. It's like 4 blocks from my house. This is Enos Y said 23-7. I mentioned before I live a few blocks from the old ECW Viking Arena. Went to almost every show because my friend's dad was security. Always get right when I think about those days. We would, of course, beat the shit out of each other on the walk back home using whatever we found in the dumpsters behind the Foreman Mills. I remember the Foreman Mills. And then the guy below him says, Brando Lee says, I totally remember the dreadlock dude at a ton of ECW shows. I bet he had some dank. I bet he had to have some dank. Man, I wish he did start wrestling. That would have been killer. Shout out to you, Dreads, if you see this.
Yeah, man. I hope he sees this. You know, I mean, I was talking about how crazy he was and stuff, but you know, I still had a lot of love for this crazy ass. So I hope he doesn't, hope it doesn't come across like I was talking bad about him just because he's absolutely nuts and from another planet.
Right. And you're Pyra, the flame god.
Yeah, something like that. But I just remember him saying, one day it'll make sense to me. All the virgins, I don't know why virgins, like
I don't know either.
I don't want to get into that detail, but I'm not sure that would be the perfect. But anyway, yeah, and all the maidens of the earth will come to me and bow and kneel before me or some crap, and I'd be like, that's cool.
Hey, sweet, all right.
I look forward to that.
I'll take some hash browns.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of hash browns, AJ RB 2 pounds says, love the podcast. I own a restaurant where an RVD match is usually playing in the dining room while the boys in the kitchen listen to this pod. Thank you for the great stories and all the work over the years and many more. Definitely one of a kind. So how about that?
Well, that's fucking cool, dude.
Got a whole restaurant listening to us.
He should film that activity going on his phone and send it to you so you could fucking
yeah.
Would you put it up if he did that? If you were like,
yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Give us some footage. Show us you tuning in, and then seeing the RVD matches too. How about that?
When Dango was doing not chemotherapy, but the natural alternative stuff he was trying, I went down to Tijuana with him. Mm-hmm. One of his last efforts, to get rid of his cancer, and they were doing everything, the oxygen and a whole bunch of stuff at this alternative place. But anyway, I had to leave him be for a while for a treatment, and I just walked a couple blocks and thought, there was this bar sitting there in Tijuana, and I went in there and said, I'll go in and have a drink. Maybe I ate. I think I ate and maybe I had a beer. I did both. But anyway, I totally did. I remember now. The food was good. But while I was sitting there, I look up on the TV and it's ECW from 98. I'm like, like a lot of times when I go into a place, I'll hear my music hit, and it's always because there's a fan in there that's in charge, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
It didn't feel like that. It felt totally random. So I'm looking around like, did someone put this on because I'm here? Because I feel like it was just on. They happened to be watching ECW from my God, what year was this? This was 2018. Ish, and they're watching something that's 20 years old, and then boom, I come up on TV and I'm looking around and nobody knows, and I was just like, this is totally just the universe syncing this up for me. Because there's not one person looking at me anywhere, and there I am, Sabu and RVD wrestling the Dudleys right on the TV for me, and that's pretty cool. Sometimes shit like that happens.
No doubt. It showed a good reason why you were there too, everything.
It felt like I was in touch with the universe, like I was connected, because that's why those synchronicities, I don't just say, what are the odds? It's like, I gotta take that in, feel the universe, you know what I mean? Feel the connection and get that assurance that I'm on the right path. That's how I take that.
Oh, 100%. That's very cool.
Yeah.
So somebody said about the Madison Square Garden, because you were talking about how you weren't that all psyched about it. M. Marsh, 1972 says, as a born and raised New Yorker who's been to countless Rangers, Knicks, WWE circus, and indoor tennis matches at Madison Square Garden for 30 years, RVD is right. MSG, built in 1968, is a dated building. It's old. Its amenities are old. It's too small, hence overcrowded. The concessions are old and dated. Penn Station is directly below it. It is dated. Everything there is just obsolete compared to other sporting venues. Worse is the fact for having such a dated stadium, the owners, the Dolan family, still charge premium rates for tickets in the stadium well past its prime. So
wow, I'm glad you picked that one to show me, and because I always feel like I'm insulting people because that's their pinnacle of sports is MSG, and I can tell by how excited everyone gets, like, oh my God, we're at MSG, and for me. Since I didn't have the nostalgia factor, for me, it was a lot more, as he understood there, that it was a lot more just like too small, compact, like I said before, the way I remember it was that everyone's bags take up the entire dressing room and you can't even fit a person and all the bags. You got to go in like one at a time to dress. And it was just not my favorite building to go to. And I always feel like when I say that I'm like, sorry for, New Yorkers and everyone that grew up idolizing the Gardens and making that their holy, bucket list destination. Like I don't argue with you and your values. But for me, not my favorite place.
No, it's not all it's cracked up to be, The history is one thing, but hey, it's time for a change.
Like there's one toilet for 20 wrestlers. How clean you think that toilet's going to be by?
Fucked up. You don't want Balls Mahoney pissing on that seat.
You don't
Want that happening.
Not if you can avoid it.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So, we'll have to ask Rob, did you watch any wrestling this week?
Nope.
All
Wait,
right.
did I watch any? AEW? No. WWE? No. No, I guess I didn't watch any.
All right. Hey.
Just little clips on. Sometimes I'm not sure because I got little clips, on social media all the time, or just little high spots or whatever, and sometimes that stands out in my mind. But
that's how I think a lot of people consume wrestling too, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
This is not wrestling related, but I have this in their current stuff. Did you hear the news that Snoop Dogg has announced that he's done smoking? Overall, he's done with weed, I think.
I did see that. Yeah, he says after talking to his family, he's decided he's done with smoke and to respect his wishes. So I know everyone is taking him at that word. I looked at some comments expecting to see a lot of people say, bullshit. Or maybe he's just not going to smoke and he's going to do THC drops. Who knows? Edibles, I don't know. But anyway, the comments that I did see were very supportive, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that it was people like, right on, man, you do your thing. It's a personal choice. And I don't know. I got a little extra resurgence of faith in humanity. I was like, wow, people are actually, not like overly opinionated and being ridiculously stomping over the boundaries of what they should, where they should insert their feelings. That's how I thought. I mean, it's comments on social media, but I expected a lot of people to be like, what the fuck, man, you sell out, whatever. That's cool. And then, he's not saying forever. So whatever, best wishes.
Right. Exactly. I wanted to ask, because the comedian I listened to, and he gave up weed. And he said that he's been going through like bad withdrawals where he can't sleep. He gets like headaches constantly all the time. Have you heard of anything like that when it comes to, I know people's bodies are different and everything like that, but in your research and doing stuff, have you heard of stuff like that? Like going through a big withdrawal if you just quit, kind of like you're done for a while?
I'm not familiar with withdrawals from suddenly quitting weed. However, if you have issues that weed is helping,
Mm-hmm.
and then you take weed away, those issues will come back, So there's a good chance that this person wasn't a good sleeper anyway.
That's what he was saying. He wasn't a good sleeper in the first place. It helped him sleep, and then he took it
Exactly.
away.
So what do you expect? I mean, it doesn't cure you,
Yeah, yeah,
It just goes, it does its thing while it's in your system, and then when it's gone, you're just you. So yeah, people that are have anxieties or whatever, if you're taking something that helps, cool. If you quit taking it, it's likely to come back.
right, right. All right, no, I wanted to get your perspective on that for sure because I kept hearing about it, and I was like, well, I should see what Rob says about this. I'm curious. So we talked about the Iron Claw movie that's coming out at December 22nd, and it made this world premiere in Dallas. Kevin Von Erich was there and everything like that. But did you know somebody is playing the Sheik that you know? Do you know who's playing him?
Mm-mm.
Chavo Guerrero Jr. is playing the Sheik.
The original Sheik?
The original Sheik.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah. So he's
Oh,
portraying the Sheik in the Iron Claw movie. I thought that was pretty wild.
yeah, cool.
And he's the one that trained the guys like Zac Efron and Jeremy Allen White. He's trained them all in the ring for the movie itself. And I know, I think. Oh, go ahead, Rob.
I was gonna say that doesn't surprise me because that's what he does, and in the that Netflix series on Glow, he trained everybody, and which I really enjoyed that series too.
I watched a few episodes. I need to get back into it. I never finished it. And I liked what I saw with it.
Yeah, it's always cool when someone's able to take a piece of life and stretch it out into making it a compelling story and to learn, like what happened with some added drama, but really it was a story about David McLean, the producer that came up with Glow, and then had the the Hollywood people and whatever, and then ended up losing it. And then he started WoW, which I don't think they cover in the thing, but he's running WoW right now, and he's trying to do the same thing, and always has. But anyway, it was just really, I thought it was really well told and made you invest your emotions into the characters and shit.
Yeah, nice. Did you happen to see the trailer yet for Iron Claw?
Nah, I don't think so. No.
Okay.
I need to.
It's
yeah.
really good. It's really good.
Cool.
I'll send it to you or something if I remember.
Okay, yeah, I forgot about it.
But yeah, I thought that was. I didn't even know he was. I knew he was training the actors but I didn't know he was in the movie. And when I heard he was playing the Sheik, I was like, oh damn, that's
awesome.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Yeah. The only other thing I wanted to bring up, I mentioned it last week to you. Hook was tagging with Orange Cassidy, and on Dynamite instead of you, he lost. He lost, Rob. Didn't pan out for him. So
Hook and Orange.
Hook and Orange lost. Hook took the pin too. He got the pin.
Damn it. Yeah. Well, it goes to show you not everyone's expendable and replaceable.
That's right. We need Choke and Smoke. We need Choke and Smoke together.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, that was it. What I was going to do this week again was kind of akin to what we did last week. Last week, if you guys didn't tune in, we covered 25 years ago, November to Remember, 1998, and all the things that surrounded that. And the main event that Rob was in, the triple tag match, him, Taz, Sabu versus the triple threat of Bam Bam Bigelow, Shane Douglas, and Chris Candido. So we cover that. If you guys haven't heard it, you can check it out on Rumble. On that, the link I always share on social media. You can check it out on Premiere, and you can check it out on Rob's YouTube. So take a gander if you haven't seen that yet. But what we're going to do this week, we're just going back 20 years instead of 25. We're going to take a look at 2003 and Survivor Series, all that surrounded around that time. And I just pulled from the Observer the different things that were going on at that juncture. And one of the most interesting things at the end of October leading into November was Stu Hart passed away, actually. He was 88 years old when it happened, born in 1915, and died. It was, I believe, I can't find it here, but I know he was 88. Rob, did you have any interactions with Stu at all ever?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Isn't that amazing? Like 1915. He's born like you know, after the turn of the century, like
How crazy is that?
before prohibition, alcohol prohibition.
Hmm?
My my grandfather, who's not alive, was born in 1903, and I just think that's like when everybody was coming across to the country at the turn of the century, immigrants. Um, and apparently, my grandpa was already born here, which, you know, people would assume he came over, but I guess his parents came over. But anyway, that was just so long ago. It's crazy to think, alcohol prohibition, when you think about it, it seems so long ago. And it was 100 years ago, but 100 years really generationally, when you look at it like that, boom, it's so quick.
It is so quick.
So quick. I met Stu at the Terry Funk Ranch, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Double Ranch. Yeah.
Yeah, and just like everyone had warned me, when I met him and shook his hand, he put my thumb in a thumb lock. Everyone told me he was going to do that. Watch out, he's going to shoot on you, and so I was expecting it, but he did it anyway. I let him do it. Yeah.
Well, cool. Yeah, he was known to be kind of well, like in his older age and stuff like that. They said he was hard of hearing and kind of thing, but very stoic all the time too. Brett made mention of him being like a stoic person and stuff like that. They said a big part of it was his down, like obviously.
I'm a big fan of stoicism, by the way.
Yeah, stoicism. Right. So, but apparently losing Owen was a big part of like just him kind of going downhill a little bit too, because he constantly kept in touch with Owen, and Owen would always prank him on the phone, like pretending to be people and stuff like that. So like they had a pretty good relationship. You mentioned like following guys like Lanny Poffo and stuff like that starting off. Was Owen kind of on your early radar too? I know he was guys kind of aligned in the same. He was a little bit older, but like, did you have him on your radar as some of a wrestler that was like kind of like a high flyer and did some pretty unique stuff?
When he was the Blue Blazer, I was really turned on to him. I was a fan because I remember seeing him at the Kellogg Center.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like when he would enter the ring, he would jump right up to the top rope, and then he would do a backflip into the ring as the Blue Blazer. And for a while there, that's how I would get to the top rope, was the way that he did it. But I think I modified that now, because he'd be on the outside, and I think he would step off the second and then spring up to the top. But then you got to turn 180, when you're landing the top. But anyway, I was inspired by that. He would, I think that's probably why when someone goes to backdrop me, I like to roll and land on my feet. That was something that Blue Blazer used to do. Probably not just him. I mean, I saw the Bulldogs do it, whatever. But yeah, he was definitely on my radar. And when I did the invasion on Raw in '97, when I was there as Mr. Monday Night, and I wrestled Jeff Hardy and Too Cold Scorpio and teamed with Jerry Lawler during that run. Owen, after my first match that I did with Jeff Hardy, when I was back in the dressing room, Owen wanted to break the ice, and say something to me. And he said, I like it when Rob's here. He had one match. I got 5 new moves.
That's great.
Yeah. It's cool. It's cool to think of him saying that now and thinking about how he inspired me to come up with different moves,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All cross propagates there, or pollinates. Pretty sweet. Well, I noticed this when Meltzer wrote up about Stu here. This is a pretty good rib, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it, because I know you're not a fan of ribs, but this is a pretty good one, so I wanted to see what you think.
A fan of who's?
So, well, ribs. So so Stu Hart had a favorite rib apparently.
Okay.
So this is what happens here. Stu's favorite rib was what became known as Mabel parties. They would do this to the new guys. This is up in Calgary, obviously. They'd tell them about this woman who lived in a farmhouse just outside of town that loved to take care of the wrestlers, but she was married and her husband was out of town. They usually found a good-looking woman to play the role. They would take the wrestler to see her, and just as something was about to happen, the husband would come in, furious, with a gun, and kick the door. The gun would have blanks, and one of the wrestlers in on the gag would jump and try to calm him down. The guy would shoot the wrestler, who would go down, preferably ready with ketchup. Stu would tell the guy to run as fast as he could. Sometimes he'd have the guy chase the newcomer sprinting down the vacant highway for miles. While there were many victims, the most famous one was the Great Antonio. Do you remember the Great Antonio, Rob? He was like this heavy-set dude. He looked like Bruce Valanche from the Hollywood Squares. But Antonio Inoki beat the shit out of him. Anyways, he freaked out seeing the guy get shot. The ketchup blood, and the people laughed for decades. The idea of this 450-pound man with unkempt hair and scraggly beard running for his life to down a good empty road. So, is that a good rib or a bad rib, Rob?
Yeah, it's a funny visual, but how crazy, and to think that it was something that the boys would be okay with doing, well, I don't mind if the husband ain't there, like.
Yeah, could you imagine, like, oh, like, all right, I'll go up there, she's pretty attractive,
The scruples. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
No doubt about it. All right, another.
Is that, by the way, is that the one where Inoki, where the guy wasn't selling when Inoki got kicked, so he starts like open palming him and then
beating the fuck out of him, basically.
Okay, yeah, I'm familiar with that match.
Yeah, that's the Great Antonio. So.
Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So 3 days later, another legendary wrestler actually passed away. Road Warrior Hawk, aka Mike Hegstrand, civilized pro wrestling in the 1980s. He was only 46 years old, and it came from a apparent heart attack.
How old? 46?
46.
Wow.
Late on the evening of October 18th. October 18th. They said they found him in his condo, but it was listed as October 19th. What memories do you have of Road Warrior Hawk, Rob?
You don't know?
I do know.
Okay. Well, there was only like 2 times that I was around him. The first time he was a complete asshole to me, and I talk about it in depth on my RVD allergy episode on my YouTube page. What was that on? Was that on Pride? It was on Ego.
I remember there was the one job guy that was a real asshole to you. You mentioned in one of the videos.
Well, this we were in Aruba. I mean, fuck, I might as well tell the story real quick. That's if we got nothing else on this show, at least we got RVD stories that no one knows about. So anyway, this is 95, I do believe, in Aruba. Aruba, Bonaire, Carousel, 3 islands. Eddie Mansfield booked this trip. I'm so happy to, I'm 24 and I'm so happy. This is like a dream booking for me to go to the ABC Islands. And one of the guys, Austin Idol, didn't show up or canceled or whatever, backed out, whatever. So now I'm working twice a night, but I'm getting paid more. So that's extra cool for me. And we had the first night in Aruba. And I wrestled. Me and Marty Jannetty tag team, and Marty does not remember this match.
No,
he does not remember ever tagging with me. But we did this in Aruba, and it was against the Mongolian Stomper and somebody, and I'm not sure who the other person was. But damn, it might have been Newcastle Bob. But these are IWF wrestlers.
Okay.
And then from Universal Studios.
Yeah.
But then I come back and I wrestle Dick Slater later in the card to take Austin Idol's place.
Yeah.
And anyway, first night, the ring was the shits. So right off the bat, everyone's like, "Dude, let's go down to the floor." And we just dove out, and we're fighting on the parking lot. Not a huge crowd like we were told was going to be there, but there was some people there for an indie show. Boom, it was awesome. I was snorkeling, having the best time ever. We go to the second island, Bonaire. And they got these little ass airplanes that fit like 4 people, and they got a shuttle back and forth to get us. Bumpiest ride ever. If you're scared of flying, this is not for you. I mean, it was all over. And anyway, I didn't mind. I was still happy. I skydived a few years before that, and I don't think it even changed my heart rate, to be honest with you, when I skydived. But anyway, we went to Bonaire, and then when they brought Hawk over, he was complaining so much. And I'm not, I'm not judging him, but all he did was complain. He had a horrible time there. He hated the airplane. He hated everything about being there. He and whoever else was in power, which would have been Brutus Beefcake. I think that was the main event. Maybe they canceled the second show. They were like, "No, we're not even going to go because promises are made." Whatever. I was still getting paid. I was snorkeling. The water, everything was so great. Coral Reef, had a great time. On the third day, and we didn't do the show, obviously, but at the very last day, everyone's in the hotel bar, and there was a girl that was the local promoter that apparently Hawk had blamed her and the promoters for promising the world and then delivering, a couple of rocks. Not the experience that I had, though. So, when I saw her, I came into the bar and I saw her, I was like, "Hey," and I'm hugging her and hey, and shaking the hand of the dude next to her. "Hey, dude, yeah, thank you for the tour," and I'm drinking a beer. And all of a sudden, I look over and Hawk's just eyeballing me. And he cut this biggest promo on me. "You remind me of every fucking rat that I've ever fucked on the road. Are you fucking serious? You're never going to make it in this business." One of those nights,
Holy shit.
He was like, "Get the hell out of my bar." And I'm like, "You serious? You want me to leave?" He's like, "I'm fucking serious. Get out of here." Right. And and of course, in my mind, I'm thinking like, can I take this guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. You're like,
in my mind, I'm thinking like, what should I do? I got my pride, my ego. Plus, at that time I was still a punk, thinking I was indestructible anyway, really, but it wasn't, but I was, it wasn't something I was going to jump at the opportunity to fight him, and I'm looking and I'm looking at the other guys and shit, and I decided, whatever, dude. And I started shaking the wrestler's hand really slow, drinking. I went over to the next guy. I'm shaking his hand, And if I remember right, but it was so long ago, it's possible my brain added this part, but I think he pushed me in my back. I remember like turning around and looking at him. In my mind, I'm already planning what I'm going to do if I'm going to do something, step behind side kick. I connect with him in his face. There's no way, I don't care how big he is, that he's not going to sell the fuck out of that. I got a sweet, strong step behind sidekick with all my ass and momentum and weight going into it. Should I do it? Like now would be the time, should I do that? And then what are the consequences? Then what? Then we're fighting. And then what? How's that going to turn out? And then is it worth it? So, and all this going on, my pride is like, do I swallow my pride? Because that's what it would take if I can turn around and walk out right now.
right. Yeah.
But a 24-year-old walking away from Road Warrior Hawk, I mean, how much shame is there in that? At the same time, I think maybe, nah, fuck it. So I left.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to my room. A couple of the other guys ended up coming up to my room. We smoked, drank. They were like, yeah, Hawk's just fucked up and drunk. Whatever. The next day on the way to the airport, when we're all riding together, he acted like it never even happened, didn't mention it, was fine with everything. Like maybe he didn't even remember it. I don't know. But I never saw him again until me and Kane were tagging in WWE, and we're wrestling Hawk and the Animal. And at this time, I was like, okay, let's see if he's gonna be an asshole today. Because by this time, despite what a lot of the listeners think, at 30, I'm way tougher than 20. At 40, I could kick way more ass than 30. I've just learned so much more. And anyway, my mind now is I'm not that kid.
Yeah.
And I'm in a fucking great position right now in WWE. I've been here for a few years. I'm over as fuck. He's here looking for a job.
Yeah, that's right.
Let me see. Let's go talk to him, and see what the fuck's up. Because, hey, I got my memories. That's all I got to judge him by. Went over, and when we talked to him, boom, it was just like, it can never happen. Like he was humble, he was like, he totally wasn't thinking about that night, you know what I mean? And he didn't show it, and he might not even have known it anymore. I don't know, but he was a way different person and easy as fuck to get along with, to the point of where there was absolutely nothing to any kind of bad vibes. If I remember right, I think he fucked up a little bit, like no sold the finish and stood up or something weird at the end of the match, and they never brought him back again.
Yeah. Well, I have the last minute of the clip actually on here, so of you, and it all took place in Philadelphia too, Rob. So how about that?
Oh no shit.
Yeah,
I probably felt extra tough in Philly too,
Right.
like, all right, motherfucker from my past.
From my past, you
bully ass bitch.
Look at inside step you. There you go.
It's a sidekick.
Oh, that's right.
That behind sidekick. Oh. Now he's always been cool as hell, Joe. I don't know why. But, yeah.
I like that Rolling Thunder, by the way.
Yeah, thanks.
Ready to give you. All right, they're going up here, Rob.
Oh shit!
This is a cool spot. I like it. I like what happens here.
Okay. Oh shit!
Uh-oh, what's happening?
What?
You ducked it.
Oh, I ducked it.
You ducked it.
Oh.
PR calls it the devastation device. I think it's the doomsday device. So must have changed it in WWE. Choke slam, boom.
Oh, to the top. You know what? I did get that from Owen, I think. But the way that I hold the turnbuckle when I jump up there, I got that from Owen, because he would jump up, but on the outside, he would hold the turnbuckle like that. I think he would step on the bottom rope and use that. He would spring up. He would spring up to the top, holding the turnbuckle, and I did get that from watching him. I could tell seeing that right there.
Well, how about that? That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So, no, I didn't. I was like I didn't even know that they wrestled you guys. And they were just there for a one-off, basically.
Well, I don't know if it was always going to be a one-off or if that was, just how it ended up because of their, I don't want to say audition, tryout. If they were, I don't know, maybe if they would have been impressive, they would have had a job. That was what I understood anyway.
Yeah. Well, according to Meltzer, they were there for a tryout, basically. And then I think it was going to be just a dark match or something that they were going to compete on. But here they put you guys against the tag team champs, and so on television. So that's what happened. And to your point too, it looks like I think he got up pretty quick after the match and left or something. So I don't know exactly.
There was something to that was written about that was frowned upon. That I don't really remember. But man, what a shame, short life.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people have way fonder stories of him than my own. He was as one of the boys as you can get. I know Scott Norton and him are tight. That's not necessarily a plus from my perspective.
From your perspective.
But what a career. How fucking inspiring were the Road Warriors,
I know. Well, speaking to that too, Meltzer writes, most notable spawned by their success as a concept by Rick Bassman in Los Angeles, designed to have babyface Road Warriors before their official face turn. So the Warriors were still here. The Warriors were still here at Hills at this point, called the Power Team USA, which were Sting and the Ultimate Warrior. So they got their inspiration from having babyface Road Warriors. And then apparently it was Bill Watts who came up with the idea of face paint for the Road Warriors too. Did you have any connections with Bill Watts at all? He was a polarizing figure in wrestling.
Dude, I'm as OG as it gets, like you it's like that 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon, but when it comes to wrestling, I got 1 degree with everybody, I feel like.
You just have a connection right immediately.
It seems like it. I mean, maybe 2 degrees sometimes, but there's very few people that haven't.
People you've never ran.
At least since 1900.
Right.
It's just the turn of the last century. So Bill Watts was he hired me in December of 92 when I went to WCW.
Okay.
So he had the book. Ron Slinker, who named me Rob Van Dam, was buddies with him from the UWF days.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a meeting at the CNN Towers or whatever in Atlanta. And then I wrestled, and it was the Underdog Challenge match. I basically already had a job as long as I didn't fuck it up real bad. So it was like called a tryout, but they already planned on keeping me. And Bill Watts didn't want to use the name Van Dam. And that's what really stood out about that first meeting. Like there's already an actor with that name. Why would you want to be confused with someone else when you're trying to make a name for yourself, and he's trying to make a name for himself. And I was like, this guy gave me the name over here because Slinker gave me the name. But by that point, let's see, he gave me the name in November of 91. And now we're talking 1 year later, December of 92. So by this time, I've been Rob Van Dam for about a year. I'd been in some magazines. I had a huge following of probably 300 people that knew who I was. So I felt like I didn't want to give up the momentum that I'd been building because I felt like I was going to be a world champion, Bill Watts was like, think of something else, not Rob Van Dam. And I was like, oh, damn, really? And Slinker was like, all right, we'll talk it over. And he's thinking, and then he goes, I got it, Robbie V. And I was like, yeah. I mean, the V stands for, that's cool. I mean, if we have to, then that sounds as good as any idea I could think of. And boom, then I was Robbie V. But I liked that I could read in the reports, like Meltzer's or whatever, the dirt sheet, whatever it was, that they would still call me Van Dam, even though I was Robbie V. And then I was like, yes, validation,
I still have that cachet.
Also, I stayed there till May of 93, and then I quit WCW on my own because working conditions were better for me outside of WCW, and I knew that. But while I was there, there was a change in the office at the beginning of the year, like in February, from Bill Watts. he left, and then Ole Anderson took over.
Oh, okay.
Ole Anderson didn't have the same like for RVD that Bill Watts did, so that had a big reason. That was a lot of why I ended up leaving. I found myself lost in the shuffle there, only used for dark matches and or giving tryouts, and I was only getting $100 anyway, and you know, had to pay for the car and the hotel, and anyway, it was just like it was a good decision for me to leave. But what I wanted to say, the other thing about Bill Watts that I associate him with, that I always will, besides hiring me, having me change my name from Rob Van Dam to Robbie V, also something that was a pretty significant part of my career to talk about because it was such a timepiece. He banned the use of top rope. The top rope was banned. Yeah. So that was weird. And then he said it was okay for me to do the split-legged moonsault because I'm just like bouncing off of it. But he didn't want anyone climbing up there anymore because everybody was doing it to the point where they felt it didn't mean anything, and they felt like nobody knew how to wrestle anymore and just lock up and go at it, you know. And that they were trying to protect the business from dissipating into a high spot fest, and that was his answer of doing it, was banned all of us from climbing up and jumping off the top rope. So that was that was Bill Watts.
Wow, how about that? Yeah, I remember him instilling those kind of old school kind of rules that like kind of like limited a lot of the aspects of what wrestling was becoming and turning into and stuff. So that's wild. Yeah, that was what I was gonna follow up with. Was he around during your time in WCW? But yeah, he brought you in. So how about that?
Yeah, and I've seen him at conventions like over the last few years a couple times. Not very often, but I've seen him once or twice after a 30-year hiatus, not seeing him, you know, and shook his hand. And Eric Watts, you know, was with him too. So that was cool because I tagged with Eric Watts back in the day, and you know, knew him as one of the guys in the dressing room. I probably rode with him in the car a few times. I don't know, but I feel like we were around each other a little bit. So it was cool to, oh, that's your dad. Hey, what's up, Bill? And you know, it was cool that he remembered me.
How about that? So, and he appreciated your work overall as a wrestler back then too. Basically,
well, he wouldn't have booked me just as a favor. You know what I mean? Yeah, he had a lot more respect for the business than that.
Yeah.
But looking back at it now, you know, I was so green. You know, and I'd only been working a couple of years, like to be on TV, and I've only been working like, you know, 3 years, 2-3 years. That's how it looks to me too. You know, even just watching this shit that we were just looking at with me and Kane and the Road Warriors, watching that, I feel like the business has changed so much since then. You know, like, is that stuff even exciting? You know, like, ooh, I ducked and I turned into a sunset flip. I mean, now the way the style is and all the athletic performances, like, I don't even know if like that match would even get the reaction from today's crowd that it did then if it was the exact same. That's how I felt watching it, at least as far as my reaction went.
See, when I watched it too, I felt like I was into it, you know, because I think the pacing of it all just made more sense to me than what I'm used to seeing today from the modern perspective of it all. So it was like, so it's interesting that you'd have that take on it too. So how about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm the last guy that wants to watch RVD. So
yeah, there you go. Well, okay. So in this very issue of the Observer that I pulled from, this actually popped up on here, and I wanted to see get your take on it. Okay, so Meltzer writes, since the future of RVD seems to always be asked about, his 3-year contract expires during the summer of 2004. At this point, they have not, with the exception of one preliminary discussion, started any talks about a new deal. It will be interesting because he came in with a decent-sized downsize guarantee, and WWE has been largely cutting down downsides for most of the talent when their numbers have been up, except top-level guys. Van Dam himself over the weekend said he has not even started any real talks of renegotiations, other than that he's been alerted by the office, even though his deal isn't up soon, that they should start talking about a renewal. Do you remember any contract track discussions at this time? Does that stuff stand out to you, like that you retain or anything like that?
Um, man, I'm trying to remember who I would have talked to. I don't think Johnny was there yet. I think it would have been JR.
That's what I was thinking, maybe JR.
Originally, I signed a 3-year deal, and they're right. You know, contrary to a lot of reports, I had a decent and continuously escalating downside guarantee. And so at the end of the 3 years, what did I sign? Maybe another 2 years, maybe.
You lasted right until like what was it, 2007? Right? Was that when you were done?
It was 2000. I always forget if it was 6 or 7. To me, it should be. I think it's 6.
Okay.
I don't know why. It seems like 7, but that doesn't make sense in my head because I think 2005 was ECW, 2006 was John Cena ECW.
Yep.
And then I had the belt, and then shortly after that, I left, right? Because
it wasn't too long.
I got suspended, came back from the suspension. I said, "Hey, this sucks. They're killing ECW. They want me to start at the, eating shit now because of me getting busted, and my contract's coming up, and I don't have it in me anymore." So it had to have been 2006.
Yeah. Okay. When you got it, yeah.
But in 2005, my ACL snapped, and I had to take 12 months off. And so I got paid the whole time I was off. So it ended up being my favorite year out of my whole deal because I had that downside guarantee, not the original, but a better one because I had re-signed after those first 3 years. But then I had to make up the time afterwards, although I got paid for it again. So it wasn't like I had to make up what they paid me, which you would have to do with appearances as far as when it went against your guarantee. But anyway, having said all that, 2001, a 3-year deal. So then in 2004, it was probably a 2-year deal. Maybe it was a 1-year deal, and then it just got extended because of my injury. Obviously, I don't remember exactly, but I just remember when I left, talking to Johnny and them really wanting me to stay, trying to talk me into staying within reason, not giving me everything I want, but trying to talk me into not leaving after that Randy Orton concussion match that I had, and I walked off into the sunset, and I never wanted to go back to full-time ever again.
Yeah.
But I remember those contract talks. I don't remember the 2004 ones.
Okay. You did get a good downside guaranteed, I imagine, on the second re-signing, though, huh?
Well, I mean, it was worth it, or I wouldn't have done it. But I mean, it's not. Sure. There's nothing to brag about in the entertainment business, anything like that.
Yeah.
Or even in the wrestling business, it wasn't like like he was taking care of me like I'm Brock, or it wasn't like that.
Something. Yeah.
But they were interested in me. They wanted to keep me. They kept it on an escalating foundation to offer, an increasing incentive, that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. You want to give your guys incentive like that. Okay, so apparently too, this is also in the very same newsletter. You did an interview that said Van Dam this is what Meltzer writes. Van Dam continued to not toe the party line during an interview over the weekend on Get in the Ring radio show. When bringing up the Intercontinental title, he didn't act like he was that excited. He said, "For the most part, I don't care. I've had the Intercontinental belt I don't know how many times. I read somewhere I beat Benoit for it 3 times. I don't even know if that's true. If it is, I must have had it 5 times. And then you said, I think the real number is 4. And the fact I don't know for sure tells you something, because in the days when the belt meant something, everyone could have off the top of their heads given the correct number. This is quite the push away from like your ECW TV title reign, where you held it for how long. And so you like it makes sense though. Like that's a lot of times. And like when you hold the any belt for that many times, it seems like it kind of does lessen the value. It's a different way of how they handled it around the time. So many hot potato with the belts, basically.
Well, without saying whether I was right or wrong, that wasn't very professional like of me to say, as far as like like now I think about like helping promote, like even if someone books me a wrestling company and then afterwards, if I see their posters online for other shows and I'm not on them, boom, I'll still like share them or like them or whatever. And I feel like that's like me being professional, and like they should get that for working with me and stuff. And likewise, I feel like working with WWE, if you're out doing interviews and stuff or whatever, then you should be like pro company. But for me, I've always just wanted to keep it so real that I think sometimes that might have taken over when looking back, I might not have made the same decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You definitely like kind of think about it from a different perspective when it comes.
Yeah, without saying if I'm right or wrong about the belt, I mean, like, and I obviously. Probably, I think I felt like they didn't know what to do with me either. I felt like they didn't know what to do to capitalize on how over I was. And I felt like Paul knew, but they didn't want to listen to him. And that was kind of what I remember my mindset being like, which, really looking at it now, like it takes an ego but I did, I was over, I was gonna say it takes a big ego to think they're just not using me right. Like I could make them so much money. Like that takes a big ego to think that. But I'm just saying, I saw all the RVD signs and people that had signs that said, I paid to see RVD, and I connected with all of those fans and got the loudest pops. And because of these kinds of reasons, I often felt like they were confused because they didn't think that I should work as far as my formula. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
think everything about me, they didn't think that should work because that's not the traditional wrestling, They went, Dom, I'm gonna rip your eyes out. You're dead. Yeah, dude, you got so many people like that, and now everyone's evolving, and I was part of that evolution to where we are now. Obviously, I inspired a lot of wrestlers now by being so different, but that is how I remember my mindset being back then.
Yeah, and I was actually going to ask you that later on too, where your head was kind of at this time, because you're winning the Intercontinental belt, you're still in the mix as like one of the high profile stars, but they're kind of looking at like John Cena's on the rise at this juncture. Then you have Randy Orton coming up, and the evolution is all there. So there's all these different elements coming into play. And that's kind of what I was going to follow up with, is like where your head was at overall at this juncture. So,
yeah, man, I remember just like trying to tread those waters there. A lot of what was rough for me was just the damn politics, it was like, I was just swimming in politics, and it's like, how do you get ahead here if it's not by winning the fans over, or if it's not completely just by winning the fans over? What else is there? And is that something that I can do or that I want to do? And who else is doing it, and is that how they're getting ahead of me? And man, just like all of that going on was it just felt like so competitive that it was hard to even be happy for everybody else. It felt so much, like that should be me, because you were promised that, and then they gave it to someone else. That's why you feel that way. But I think every wrestler pretty much has to relate to that kind of feeling, especially when they go through the big show like that. And I'm glad that right now I'm not still in that state of mind. I had to get out of it when I had to get out of it, but right now I'm glad that I have the foresight to be able to think bigger and talk about it and understand a bigger perspective now, because that's important.
That shows growth,
Yeah.
Also in this interview, he said he's gotten a rep for not being good on interviews, but it's because all the writers script him to do is cool, so people think he can't talk. He complained about constantly being told to tone it down to avoid an injury, but he hasn't gotten seriously hurt. He also said he's never gotten any heat in WWE for any of his interviews. Yeah, so they scripted you to say like stuff like cool and dude and stuff like that. That had to be kind of frustrating, I'm sure.
I mean, I could have taken more control if I would have had ideas, if I would have been inspired to look at their script and then make it my own. But that wasn't something that I've ever really been good at, faking an interest in something. I mean, now I could probably fake it as an actor, you know what I mean? But back then it was more like I was myself. And so like if I really was telling everybody that this match that I have with Christian on Saturday means more to me than anything in my whole life, I'm going to be laughing at myself and feeling like I'm making myself into an asshole. But now I could probably do it, but back then I really felt more attached to what I was saying. So when I read the script and it's like, cool, whatever, then I would never, look at that and say, what would really make this good? What if I walked into the room, and Booker T had his towel around and would come out of the shower. And then what if I didn't have that kind of inspiration. I was just like, what do they want from me? I just want to wrestle. And that is mostly how I felt, looking back at the ECW promos. I did have some fun with the promos sometimes,
Yeah.
They were fun. I feel like they were more what I wanted to say and stuff. And that all of a sudden I had to talk about stuff I didn't care about and pretend that I did. And just the whole agenda was way different.
Yeah. And I remember just going back and watching like older footage of you doing the interviews. I think it was like for the tag match with you and Sabu against like Lance Storm and Candido. And like, the dynamic between you, Sabu, and Bill was great. Like it was just like fucking like you're kind of fucking with Sabu and like kind of trying to take the spotlight and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, it was fun
that kind of stuff. Yeah. I was asked about this like a year or two ago. Otherwise, I would have forgot because it's a really faint memory. But sometime, and this would have been before 2004, they I guess, I think it was Hunter, asked or offered, I think he pulled me aside and offered to, he would help me with my promos.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was insulted by that. My ego, competitiveness made me feel like he was saying I couldn't talk, and I was like, I don't want to talk like him. I'm RVD. He just don't get me. And I think I felt, more like that. And that probably, very good chance could have led to some of the long-term heat that I had while I was there, possibly looking back at it.
Yeah. Huh. Well, no, but I mean, you had your own style of promo too. That was just, it was engaging. Like when I saw it on ECW and stuff, but it's tough to be in that ecoscape of like competitiveness, but also politics, dealing with all that stuff and trying to look out for yourself too. And being true to yourself too. I'm sure that you were just combating all of that,
It was hard to draw the line between being true to myself and, doing the job, which, just be professional and, just produce this fucking, we need you to say this, boom, say it, and I gave a fuck about a lot of stuff that I probably shouldn't have given a fuck about.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Who knows? Who knows? I mean,
So
it got me here with that cool green screen behind me.
that's right. Taz is a fan of it. Taz is All right. So, some other sad news at this juncture. Anthony Durante, Pitbull 2, died due to an overdose of fentanyl. According to the coroner's reported release earlier this week, he died on September 25th. Westerly, Rhode Island police reported. He was only 36 years old.
Oh, my God.
That's it. Meltzer even mentions how Oxycontin had been previously linked to the deaths of two former WCW employees, wrestler Bobby Duncombe Jr. and referee Randy Anderson. Memories of Pitbull 2, Rob? Anyone stand out to you in certain ways?
Yeah, this is fun, just hitting memoirs. Two memories of Pitbull Anthony. So one memory is I'm in the ring with him, not just him. There's me and Sabu, the Pitbulls, quite possibly even another tag team. I don't remember all that. But this was still me learning through trial and error a lot of the hardcore style, and actually in life that never changes. We're all still learning. But I had a chair and I just started like pie facing people with it. I saw Sabu do it, I think, and I was like, hey, I like that. Started like using that. And this was like one of the first nights. And Pitbull Anthony is in the corner with his back in the ring. We're both in the ring and he's facing me. And I threw the chair like all the way, like, across the ring. And when the chair came, it fucking spun. And it spun like 90 degrees and it hit him like this. Dunk.
Right. Oh, man.
And it split him open. And after the match, I was like, oh, man, sorry, pointing at it. Dude, look at that. Like, sorry about that chair shot, man. And he was like, oh, that's cool. As long as you didn't do it on purpose. He goes, you didn't do it on purpose, did you? I'm like, no. And he's like, oh, that's cool. That stuff happens. But I learned to be more careful after that. You know what I mean? Because there was a lot of times I remember where I would just like go for it and take a chance with not just myself, but with someone else that's in the ring too, And that's part of learning. I see it now. I saw somebody on social media do like a brain buster on a bike. I think it was AEW on the bike, in the bicycle, a pedal bike that was on its side with the pedals sticking up and everything. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when I'm watching that, I'm like, that's so dangerous. Like, they don't know one little thing. If it could fuck up and it could totally like change somebody's life. I remember this one show that I did my first time in LA. It was a $250 black tie fundraising event. Everyone was wearing suits, eating fancy dinners, and they weren't a wrestling crowd at all. It was at the Biltmore Hotel. I was stuck to be in LA, but that's another story. But at the show, they came up to me and Mustafa because we were wrestling, and they said, the show is they're not really buying the show that much, and we want to put you out earlier, if you can go out there and wake everybody up or whatever. So we went out there, and looking back at it, I was so not careful because I would pick Mustafa up and I would body slam him on a table with glasses, upright, wine glasses, plates and forks and knives and everything. Bam. And looking back at it, like, man, if a glass would have just sliced off and cut through an artery or something, it would have been all over. And looking back at that, I still kind of cringe when I think about that match we had. But we did wake the motherfuckers up.
There you go. Yeah. But we did get them up. We got
mission accomplished.
Yeah, right. Everybody was okay. Another wrestler, passed away too at this juncture. November 6, 2003, Crash Holly.
The other Pitbull Anthony story is he's the first wrestler. He gave me my first pain pill that I ever wrestled on.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yep, I had hyperextended my knee the night before in a match with Chris Jericho at the Lulu Temple in Jefferson Township, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like limping, and I was concerned because I didn't want anyone to know I was hurt. This was a big match. You know, we've been building up for 3 weeks since the last one, Hostile City Showdown. This is the night that the ring kept falling apart.
Oh, shit.
And they kept putting it back together. It's like 1 a.m. We're getting ready to go out there. It fell apart. They got Kimona Wanalea dancing to try to entertain the crowd. This made footage that they used forever and ever of this night. And they offered everybody their money back if they wanted to go home, or they could wait for our match. I didn't want to go limping out there and show up, like as half of what they expected. And Pitbull Anthony was just like, here, bro, no, just take this. You'll be fine. And I was like, will I be able to like wrestle on it? He's like, yeah, you'll be fine. And looking back at it, I was just so green. I'd never done that before. And, that became my routine for a while. And, it still is a concern with mine as far as like getting at my best, feeling at my best, whatever it is. But back then it was like the pill days, and we were handing around somas, whatever, halcyons, fucking pain pills. And then a bunch of my friends died, like the guy we're talking about. But that's another story. Is Pitbull Anthony gave me a 7.5 Vicodin that I wrestled on that night. And I came out there to the ring, and then Sabu drop kicked my leg, bam, right off the bat, and then I was limping.
Holy shit. Jeez. Wow. I can't believe too. Jeez, when I was reading this, I was like, only 36. That's insane.
Yeah. And I felt great with that pill too.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Well,
which is why people take them.
Yeah, that makes sense then, especially. November 6, 2003, Crash Holly passed away, and Rob, he was only 32. So craziness. Did you have interactions with him? I knew he was kind of almost it. I was thinking about this. He's like the antithesis of you. You were the hardcore champion that kind of established the belt, where he was the 24/7 kind of champ. So very different realms of the hardcore title. But what was your interaction with Crash?
Right. So when I first got to WWE in 2001, Crash was still there.
Mm-hmm.
Was he teaming with Bob Holly? Maybe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he would have been.
Yeah, and then so I just remember him being around. I didn't like his hardcore title matches because I felt like they were making fun out of. Which is fine. Even in ECW, there's fun on the show, But for me, I felt, like as an artist, I would just do that so much different and make the hardcore serious. But he was always, a good guy and stuff. But I remember one time we're on the airplane, and he was in a no-selling kind of mood, Mm-hmm. Kurt Hennig was kind of annoying him. I think we just got on the plane and we're just boarding still and hadn't even left yet. But he's acting like he doesn't hear Kurt back mm-hmm. there, right?
Yeah.
And Kurt's going. I guess he called him Crash. What was his name?
Mike. I think it was Mike.
Okay, yeah. So he was Crash, and he's like, kind of like rolling his eyes, pretending that he doesn't hear him. And when you first get on, like all the overhead bins, the doors are still open, so you can put your bags in there.
Yeah.
And Crash, he goes, go up there in your bin. Go up there, Crash, go up in the overhead bin, dude. Go up there. That's for you to lay down in. Go up there. And he's like trying to ignore him. And then finally I could just tell that Crash said, okay, maybe if I sell this joke, he'll fucking shut up, So he was like, okay. And he acted, like he was going to climb in there. And then he just like sat back down with a straight look on his face, And I just seeing him do that, I was like, yeah, I feel his pain.
Yeah, you're like, I can sympathize. Yeah. I get that. Oh, man. Yeah. He was a personality, that's for sure. It's a shame he died so young, I'm sure he could have done a lot more too. But All right, November 16th, 2003. That's when Survivor Series.
Hey, wait a minute.
Uh-huh.
Today's November 16th, bro.
Oh, shit, it is. How about that? 20 years to the day, Rob.
Snap.
20 years to the day.
All
I
right.
didn't see that connect. You did.
Yes, sir.
So how about that? All right.
Please
So
do.
Team Bischoff, it was Randy Orton, Chris Jericho, Christian, Scott Steiner, and Mark Henry beat Team Austin, which was Shawn Michaels, Rob Van Dam, the Dudleys, those damn Dudleys, and Booker T. The match lasted 27 minutes and 27 seconds.
Wow.
This got a very good rating, Rob. I think Dave gave it 4.5 stars, apparently. He said, in hindsight, this should have been the last because so much time was devolved and nothing could follow Austin coming out. Because this was in Dallas, too, I believe. I think this match took place in Dallas. And the stipulation was if Team Austin lost, Austin would leave WWE. So he came out, got far the biggest reaction of the night. Now, Meltzer makes a note that says, Steiner did a band overhead belly-to-belly on Van Dam, and it was just a fraction away from being dangerous. Do you remember that at all? Like, did Steiner...
No, all my bumps are dangerous. Come on.
Come on now. All right.
I used to tell people to purposely drop me on the back of my head and make my knees hit, like when they would give me a German suplex or a back suplex release throw. I started doing that way early, though, like in 93. I remember doing that in Japan. And eventually I learned to regret it. But I never let anybody know. I would just eat it, you know, because like Kabashi, he would pick me up and powerbomb me. Bam, right on the back of my neck, and my knees would just bounce off the mat. I would never let them know they hurt me. But, man, sometimes more than others, my back would be sore. That's why it's like, it's weird, my back was sore at 23. And so if I feel fine at 52, then it's like, it's hard for me to compare it all and be like, oh, it sucks getting older. Cause I'm like, I'm used to being, hurt, beat up, sore. And it's not that much different.
Yeah,
So, if you can think of it that way, that's kind of more where I'm at with the aging thing. But yeah, I mean, and I still do sometimes and land on the back of my neck like that. But Chris Jericho used to like doing that, picking me up for a German suplex and releasing me and throwing me a little bit and land on the back of my head. But the power bombs, it's like, even if I'm flexible enough to do it, sometimes the impact would just be bam. I'd be like, that's right. You can't hurt me.
I'm fine.
Yeah. Sometimes.
All right. So then he did one of the ropes, but I'm trying to figure out. So basically, you guys eliminate Mark Henry. The Dudleys give him a 3D, and RVD gives him a frog splash, and everybody piled on top of him at 10 minutes and 3 seconds. But then you were the next out. Jericho eliminated you, shoved you off the... He helped eliminate you. Shoved you off the top of the rope, and Orton gave you an RKO at 12 minutes and 6 seconds. And then your team ultimately lost, Rob. Steve Austin had to leave WWE. You failed him, so he had to leave. And this match got, but like I said, this match got a really, really good rating of 4.5 stars. Do you like the Survivor Series kind of matches, types of matches and stuff like that? The elimination kind of thing? Is that intriguing to you as a fan? And how about it as a wrestler?
Yeah, I think so. As a fan, I used to love to get together on Thanksgiving to watch the Survivor Series, especially, the first several when they came out. That was a big deal because we'd have to go to somebody's house that had cable vision, which wasn't everywhere. And that was always like, a big tradition. So I understand now it's still a tradition for other people. And I guess as far as wrestling in it, I think I liked it. I think it's like, it's cool that, you're on a team with some interesting teammates, it's like a bond that you may not otherwise have with certain individuals. And then it's, everyone's going to get their time to shine and be showcased. And then overall, it doesn't seem like it's going to be nearly as much work as a singles match would be where it's all on you.
Yeah. And I, as a fan too, like I like the intrigue of people being eliminated and like, oh man, who's going to survive? Is there going to be a lone survivor? So there's that added intrigue to it too. I thought it was pretty.
So the difference with some insight from someone that's been in the business for 150 years. The difference between this and say like a Royal Rumble match, which also eliminates people, is that like I just said in a Survivor Series match, you get eliminated one by one, but you're in there, you do your thing, and then what? You're on the apron while someone else is in there. But like in a battle royal or a Royal Rumble, it's like the whole time you're working, and if you're like me, you imagine people are watching you the entire time that you're in there. So it doesn't matter as people are getting eliminated one by one or whatever, you got to go find a leg and try and tug on it, try and get that leg up, over the top rope, and then give up and poke them in the eyes and walk over to somebody else and do it. So I don't enjoy those kind of matches, and I never have the Battle Royals. Although I do remember winning one with Mark Henry, and I thought maybe you're going to get to that. It might have been around this time. I just remember Mark running at me and me like backing up and like pulling the rope down and him going over. And it was just like, whoa, they must be behind me. I just won a Battle Royal. Like, wow, what I thought that they hated me. What's going on? That's pretty good.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah, no, I'll have to look that one up, but I'm sure that's around this time then too. Yeah, I'll have to dive into that.
Also in that match, Battle Royal, Titus.
Yeah,
Titus O'Neil. Do you remember he used to have this move, which they stopped maybe this night? They might have stopped it this night. But he used to have this move where he would pick somebody up like he's holding them like a crossbody. But yeah, somehow he would do something where he's got your arm twisted around, and he would give you like a front slam. He would pull your arm like a yo-yo, and you would like roll and spin down and then land. Bam, all fucked up. And he did that to me that match, and it hurt so bad, bruised one of my ribs. And I know he got heat for it afterwards. He got heat from Vince. And I had to go. I can't remember why. I think he asked, if I remember right, I think he asked me to go talk to Vince and tell him that I was okay, or that I said he could do it or whatever, because Vince was hot because he hurt me, and they had plans with me. They were, I was the guy, and they were doing this leading into something, and then he just fucking hurt me. I was just like, oh, my shoulder. Maybe it was my shoulder. My shoulder. Yeah, it was definitely my shoulder. I was going to say my shoulder and my wrist, but I remember now. And it was because, and then bam, land on my side, on my shoulder like this, bam. And I think they had him quit doing that after that.
Holy shit. Yeah, I know he had some different moves in his move set. That was like, he had like one, yeah, like he held you like almost like a fall away slam, and he'd like spin you or something like that. I kind of remember too. So
there's a lot of moves I see now, like if I see AEW or whatever, and it's like a lot of times, I'm like, wow, that's really creative, that awesome. Sometimes I'm even like, I wish I would have thought of that. And then other times I'm like, there's a reason no one's done that move before.
Right.
That's dangerous as fuck and takes like way too much to be able to throw that in a match, without growing up with the guy you're doing it with. But anyway, that's there's both to that, you know what I mean? But a lot of moves look really dangerous that people do nowadays that just, a few years ago, people would be like, fuck no, I'm not taking that. You know what I mean? I remember one time in South Atlantic, this would have been the year that I moved down to Florida, which was YouTube Chris. No, this would have been in 90.
Oh, yeah. Very early then.
Wait, 89, 90. No, I'm 90. Oh, I guess it was 91. Yeah, it was super early. So 91, and then I moved down to Florida, and then like in 92 I'm still going back up to I'm driving from Florida up to the Carolinas for South Atlantic Pro wrestling for Greg Price. He's still booking me up there. They got TV, and I'm driving back and forth. And one night I was supposed to wrestle a guy up there, Sammy something. And anyway, before the match, I was telling him like some of the things that I wanted to do. And then a little while later, I couldn't find him. He left. He was gone. He just grabbed his bags and left and said, fuck this.
Oh.
No, not Sammy. I wrestled Sammy. It was the guy before. Yeah, the guy left. And then anyway, yeah. And specifically, it was going to be like a sunset flip power bomb to the floor, you know?
Uh-huh.
That was the deal breaker.
Like, I'm not having that.
Yeah. Nowadays, the style is so much different, though. And that's what I was saying about that, what I think about the Road Warrior match.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's I mean, like, if you looked at one of the matches on that happened on Raw or Dynamite, like, and you looked at the one we just watched, it's very different. But I don't know. I have an affection for those ones still.
If it doesn't mean better or worse, right? I mean, necessarily on its own.
Wrestling is subjective too. It's subjective. Booker T, you tagged with him here. Is this around the time you guys really started forming a friendship around this time? Or pretty close from earlier on or something?
And we're in 2004, right?
2003-ish, yeah. Well, so going into 2004, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Probably so, because I used to ride with Mike Awesome and Sean Stasiak, and then Mike Awesome was gone for a while for whatever reason, and then Sean and I ended up together, and then I don't know if Sean got let go or whatever, but then I was riding then with Booker T and Nick Patrick, referee.
Oh, Nick's great.
Yeah. We all like to smoke, so that was one thing.
I heard the story of Nick. Road Dogg was telling a story of how the one time there's an oncoming car their way, and Nick was driving, and Nick was rolling a joint at the same time, and as his car was coming in, he casually just moved out of the way, and still rolled the joint with one hand and got it all completely. And Road Dogg's mind was like blown how he was able to keep calm, like avoid the potential car accident, and still roll the joint.
Yeah, I think about like, and this seems so early, but I would have been 32 in 2003. You know, I was a baby, but man, I was so stupid when I think about just my sense of my own awareness and position in life.
Yeah.
Just you don't have it yet, or I didn't have it yet. But anyway, I remember when Nick's driving and I had a bag of weed that was a little bit moist. And so I got the bag sitting up on the dash in the sun while he's driving. Books in the back. And Nick's like, Rob, is there like maybe this is illegal at the time? You know, you got to remember that this is back when it was illegal. And Nick is like, Rob, is there somewhere else maybe that you want to put that? You know, besides right on the dash. And I remember, and I wasn't even joking. You know, like I didn't get it. I was like, no, dude, that's the perfect spot right there. The way the sun is baking it right now, probably give it probably like 15, 20 minutes. That thing will be. We'll be breaking off buds. And he was like, you can't put it somewhere else. I'm like, dude, trust me, that's the best spot. I totally didn't even get it. Looking back at it, he was probably thinking that I was just being rude and refusing, being like, fuck no, you're driving. We're putting pot up in the window and you're getting busted, but I didn't mean it like that. I was just stupid.
Oh, shit. Well, okay, so following real quick after that, after Survivor Series, you had a match with Ric Flair the next night on Raw. It was Intercontinental title defense. You were banned banned from using the 5-star frog splash in the match. You could not use it. Randy Orton was on commentary.
I bet Rick got that banned because he always says I'm like about the stiffest guy he's ever been in the ring with, and
I don't
he never fails to tell me that every time I see him.
I don't want to take that. But I got to watch this match. I actually have the clip if you want to check it out real quick. It's only 3 minutes, but we did. It's a good one, Rob. It's pretty neat to see you and Flair tie it up.
Do you know where it is?
That's a good question. I am not sure where it is. I can maybe look it up. Orton's on commentary at this point. You cannot use the 5-star frog splash. He's got in the figure 4, which he never seems to win with the figure 4. Uh-oh.
How old is Ric there? He looks pretty good.
Yeah, he looks... So this is 2003. He's 74 right now. 20 years ago.
20 years ago, so 54?
About 54, yeah.
So that's like 1 year more than me. I'm about to be 53.
How about that?
Wow.
Boom. You're doing a good job selling the leg and stuff. He's working the leg. It's good part of this.
Wow, look how young Randy is.
Oh, isn't it crazy?
And Jerry.
And Jerry. And JR.
And Jim, too. Yeah, really. Wow.
Good point, Lawler.
And Chad. Thanks, Chad. Every time I see Chad, the referee, I say, thanks, Chad.
Oh, is that Chad Patton? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was Jack Donuts.
That's our joke forever. Like whenever I see him, like I saw him recently. Whenever WWE, the last WWE event I was at, and hadn't seen him like in years, and I just go, thanks, Chad. Just like we just, like I would say after a match, like that's what hey, thanks, Chad.
Now, would you bust some of the refs' balls sometimes too? Like I know you would.
Would I what?
Bust some of the refs' balls sometimes in the ring. I know you would. Mess with Justin Roberts and stuff. Too.
Yeah, I would. Especially Kyoto. I had a lot of fun with Kyoto.
He's a character, man. I love Kyoto.
Yeah. They're all. Well, I like that Roll of Thunder.
Yeah.
Hey, get back to your announcing table, young Randy Orton. How'd you get up to the?
Boom.
From the announcing table up to Gorilla? What the fuck?
Yeah, right?
He went the long way.
He did. Oh, cheap shot. The dirtiest player in the game right there. Rick just low blowed him, guys, if you're listening to a podcast.
That RVD knows how to fucking sell some fucking action.
Look at that. When you get hit in the boys, you know how that feels.
Good fucking strong kick out. You know what I hate now is when people don't kick out. And and every time I watch wrestling, I see it. They think just by kicking their feet that they kick out, but their shoulders are still down and the person's still on top of them. I hate that. It's one of those things that annoys me when I watch wrestling. I want to tell them, but I always tell whoever's next to me, they were still pinned, their shoulders were still down. Because they just move that, they just kick their feet.
The legs.
Kicking your feet don't do nothing.
They want to think that, okay, that breaks the count. No, your shoulder's got to be up.
And then every once in a while, like when I was in WWE, they'd say, well, the referees need credibility. From now on, you count them down if they don't kick out. And they haven't done that in a while, and they need to. Because credibility, they haven't done a credibility check in years. And it used to be cycled all the time when I was there. Yeah. But I guess it doesn't matter anymore. I don't know.
I find it Randy, he dabbled. He gave
I'll hit you in your balls.
What the heck, Randy?
Fucking Randy.
Good. So when you wrestled Flair like that, was it kind of you're more that it's okay, this is the job of mine, or did you kind of take a moment too, like, holy shit, I'm kind of wrestling Ric Flair? Was there a balance of that, or did you kind of more be like, this is just part of the job at this juncture?
At that point, for me, I'm just trying to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to sound disrespectful, but at the time, he was not one of my choice opponents.
Okay. Yeah. Just because it didn't line up with your style kind of thing?
Yeah, that. Yeah, and Yeah.
That makes sense. I told
And,
him,
but I'm glad you looking back at it. I'm glad we got footage of RVD wrestling with Flair, and I liked what I just saw. Fucking both them dudes looked good. So
dude,
I'm, and I like them now too. But even when I was there, even like I don't know, everyone treated him like I don't know. Like, I really can't like to go back into that state of mind. I feel like I'd be like rehashing, talking shit. But because I keep it real and I'm on my podcast, I don't mean any shit talking by this. But back then, at that time, when I was in the competitive mindset and had the ego that I had, I felt that a lot of the boys kissed his ass, laughed because he would wear his robe at the bar, maybe with not much underneath. And I just thought I would roll my eyes at that. It wasn't entertaining to me. He wasn't my hero growing up. Hulk Hogan was, because we only got WWF. When people in the South, Ric Flair was their Hulk Hogan. That's how I always thought it. And just even the backstage, like I had, I kind of there's a story that I won't get into, but let's just say I thought he was a stooge at one point, and that he stooged on me for smoking. Mr. Ric Flair that now has his own marijuana brand. Ooh, woo, woo. And so my feelings were among that, and then having the mismatch of style where I'm in there with someone that's going to want to just chop me and me fall, as opposed to, what wrestling was for me. But again, bigger picture, we're all fucking fucked up characters, and it looked like a good match, and I'm sure it probably was, but that's what it was like for me. It wasn't like, whoa, I'm in here with the Nature Boy, one of the original OG champions. This guy's been, like I never really got into that mindset. I don't think, maybe I did with Hulk Hogan a little bit. I don't know, but overall, like when YouTube Chris, whenever he asks me stuff about this kind of recognition, I always fail. Like he'll say, like one time he said, do you realize like you were a fan at WrestleMania 3 in the crowd watching it as a kid, and then at WrestleMania 18 you had one of the best matches on the card, you became the Intercontinental Champion, and did you ever think when you were a kid watching it? And I'm like, I never made that connection before. He gets me with that stuff all the time.
yeah.
And I think it's just the mindset that you get into changes your whole perspective. Of course, how can it not? And because of that, I miss out on a lot of things that should thrill me, I think.
No, and it's like when you have that competitive mindset too, that adds another element of it. Like, hey, you're looking to be the best at it, and these are like some of the people that you're working with, but also like competing against, to try to get a good spot and everything like that. So there's that added element to it too. I think that's pretty interesting.
And I felt like you got a stooge at your level to get ahead. Like what did you need to fucking be stooging off on me for? Like, what are you gonna like? Come on, dude, you're Ric Flair. Come on. That's how I felt.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Like from a fan perspective too, looking at it, it's like, damn. Okay, so in 2003, RVD beat Ric Flair and he beat the Road Warriors. So it's like it's kind of wild.
I beat Ric Flair and who?
And the Road Warriors.
Oh, that is crazy, huh?
Pretty wild to kind of think about. So, cool. Well, that's I think that's basically all I got, Rob. Yeah, 2003 overall. It seemed like it's a very wild time, I think, for wrestling because they're losing stars like Steve Austin, The Rock. You're still there as a mainstay. Kurt Angle's still there. John Cena's on the rise. Triple H is doing his thing too. So it's like it's a very transitional period, but it's also like a period that's still kind of there. It's like it's a blend of both in a lot of ways, it seems. So it's pretty neat that you're involved with all that. So good
Yeah,
stuff.
cool.
Good stuff. Cool. All right. Hey, it is time to wrap it up, Rob. Do you want to have an RVDology for us this week?
Yeah. All right. Do we want to touch on last week or no?
Sure. Yeah, do it for you. There was a lot of aspects too that came into play. A lot of things with some of my buddies this past weekend, and talking about my job situation and certain things like, with writing and being freelance and all that stuff. They were kind of like giving me a little bit of shit for it because I was just doing freelance. And I'm like, well, listen, I was like, I'm doing what I like. I like what I do. I'm making a living off of it. And I'm not necessarily worrying about other aspects that other people would worry about, like, having like not paying out of pocket for health insurance or stuff like that. It's just like you give and you take with certain things. And I like what I'm doing with my job. So I'm doing this stuff for me. So it certainly came to that aspect of things. And then just putting the ball in my own court of like, hey, taking advantage and trying to keep the hustle of doing what I'm doing too, I think. And making that a factor is like, hey, investing in myself to kind of make things better. So that's where I definitely pulled from this week, Rob.
Nice, dude. Yeah, I'm glad we did touch upon it, because on a personal note, this is one of the many times when I need to eat some of my own medicine, and I'm doing some reprioritizing, and that fucking is definitely something to inspire me, is to do it for myself. And yeah, good, dude, good. Here's what I want to talk about tonight. All right. And I think that this will probably largely go unnoticed. Hopefully you'll prove me wrong. But I just want to tell the listeners, my recommendation is care about what you say. Your word comes from you, just you. Once you say something, you're the source. Now, we've talked before about how in today's day and age, people have no accountability because of social media. They can post whatever, RVD's a transvestite. And then if someone says, what? Where'd you get that from? They don't ever have to respond. There's just no accountability. There's just nothing. People grow up and are used to this world of no accountability. And I've talked before about how, for me, I have to care about what I say, because when I say something, it can be held against me. So I have to be able to stand behind everything that I say, because people know who I am. Doesn't mean that I'm always right. But again, that is part of caring about what you say. Being able to admit when you're wrong, because you want people to know that wasn't right. That's not the facts. This is the facts. It came from you. You're the source. I've talked about this book called The Four Agreements. One of the agreements is to be impeccable with your word. This is one of the reprogramming exercises that you do as an adult. You make this agreement with yourself that you're going to hold your own word in high regard, because everyone is going to associate what you said with you, and you have to keep that in mind. And that's your credibility, that's your integrity, that's your image. And besides, you have a responsibility to put word out there that's not dangerous, that's not bullshit, that's truthful. And maybe not everybody feels the obligation, but let me try and put it to you like this. Katie and I and Dylan, my agent, were all in the car a couple days ago. And Dylan, he's got half a brain, and I take him as that. He said something ridiculous. I don't know what triggered it. He's like, he says, I know what you said. You want to do every time you hear Taylor Swift. And it was a weird comment, And what did I say I want to do every time? You said you want to fuck her. and I just like no sold it, because there was nothing to think about it. And Kennedy's like, you said that? And I just said, oh yeah, that really sounds like something I would say. and she knew, and she knows me, and that doesn't sound like something I would say. It sounds like maybe it could have been based on something, a comment, a joke, something very passive that was made. And then he said, well, I'm using my own words, rephrasing it. You said something like that. I'm like, yeah, okay, right. A few minutes later, we're talking about Kevin, and I don't want to, I don't know what exactly, I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember, but Dylan is telling me and Katie about something Kevin said about so-and-so. And in the conversation, Dylan is saying, yeah, according to Kevin, I guess so-and-so, wasn't even that friendly. He was kind of a dick, and so-and-so is just kind of mean to him and this and that. Again, I know, sell it. I let it go by. A little while later, when me and Katie are by ourselves, Katie like shocked me with her gullibility. She says, wow, that sucks that so-and-so is just mean to so-and-so all the time. And I looked at her and I said, do you know that? She said, yeah. I said, you know that's a fact? She said, yeah. I said, how? She said, Dylan told me. Or Dylan said it. I go, and that makes it true? The same guy that said every time I hear Taylor Swift, I say I want to fuck her? Like, you hear him, consider the source. Now you're saying this fact. Now it's coming from you. You're the source. You're saying so-and-so is mean to so-and-so. I heard him say that, and I don't know that it's true. In fact, I wouldn't even give it like a 40% possibility or probability of being true. I sound annoying to myself when I'm speaking like this, and I'm sure it annoys her. Otherwise, she wouldn't be like that, because she hears me say that all the time, because these are my values. But I don't understand how somebody can do that. You're the new source now. Like when you go on and say, yeah, so-and-so is really mean to so-and-so, like their relationship is whatever. You do not know that that's true. Why would you say that? For me, I'm more protective of my word. I care about my word a lot. It doesn't mean I'm always right. In fact, I care so much that if I'm wrong, then I want to say it. And I'm not happy about it. I already said I'm one of the last people that wants to hear or see Rob Van Dam or listen to my own self-talk. But let's say we go back several years. Let's listen to RVD in 2008. Let's hear RVD talk about marriage, right? Here I am talking like I know what I'm doing. Like I got life figured out. And then, boom. I'm talking about, oh, yeah, well, we're great because we're each other's priorities. We don't put anything between each other. Boom, boom, boom. And then, we're gone. We're split up. Now, go back and watch that. Of course, I have to cringe. What an asshole. Look at me eating crow. I think that's the expression. Yeah. Eating my foot, so to speak. But because I care about what I say, and I care about what people hear from me, I like to bring this up. and point out, that I still don't think I was wrong. I think the values that I spoke of back then are the right values to go for. We didn't both have those, and we didn't share those efforts, and really we were a mismatch. For me, a lot of times when I do even these RVDologies, and I'm really just trying to help. These are, like I said, my values. I use these to get where I'm at right now. It's possible maybe in a few years I'll be saying, wow, what a dumbass I was. I didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. Maybe, I don't know. I'm 52 and I like my life, and if I can share a different perspective, which I know I have a different perspective. I know I think different than most people. And so I think that's what I have to offer. But what I want to tell you is, even listening to myself, a lot of times I think that I come across pompous. I look at me, I listen to me, and sometimes I think I'm pompous, like someone that feels like they know it all, or like overly confident in what I'm saying. That's annoying. I don't like to hear me come across like that. That's because I care about my word. I care. It's my reputation. I have to care because I'm somebody, but also because I've had so many people tell me that something I've said has affected them in a positive way. Like when I said recently, if you believe in you, I believe in you. I had several people come up and repeat those words and tell me that they really felt that. 2, 3, 4 people tell me that. And it's like, you know what? For me, I got to say that again. I got to make that my catchphrase for a while. I got to keep up with that because I know it works. It motivates people. And you know what? It's true. And I'm happy to inspire people and motivate people if I can. Because why the hell not? Who wants to bring people down? Trolls. We'll talk about that on another episode. But being impeccable with your word doesn't mean that you're perfect, but it does mean that you're accountable for your word. If I said it, bring it up to me, and if I still feel the same, I'll back it up. I'll admit that I said it. If I feel differently now, I'll tell you why I feel differently. Sometimes people will just bring up something so random, I don't even know if I really even said it. They'll say, dude, I don't know if you remember this, but I met you back in 2002, and you stayed after a show. You were talking to me out in the parking lot, and you told me that I should go for it, believe in my dreams, or I should contact this person or whatever to start to get into wrestling, whatever it is. When I hear stuff like that, it makes me realize how important my word is. What if instead I told everybody, kill yourself? Or, what if I told everybody smoking cigarettes is cool? Smoking cigarettes is healthy. That's what they used to teach you, because the government doesn't care about the integrity of their word. They're trying to sell you something, but that used to be the deal. Cigarettes were healthy. 4 out of 5 doctors recommended Marlboro. My generation of people is still grew up on that and is still learning and trying and accepting the health benefits of cannabis because of that. Because cigarettes told everyone forever that cannabis was toxic and dangerous and poison, and it's drugs. But nicotine is a way worse drug. Anyway, I just want to tell people, care about what you say because it ties back to you. That's a great reason. And plus, don't put bullshit out there. Don't put lies out there, because all you're doing is polluting my universe. And I happen to pride myself on honesty and integrity, and I would advise you to do the same.
How about that? Yeah, Rob, I know too. It's like when you factor in stuff like when somebody says something, sometimes I'll subconsciously take it as fact and not even consider that like, okay, this guy's like not fucking like look at the context of who he is or what he's saying and stuff like that.
Right.
Sometimes you just take it and be like, oh yeah, okay, that's what they said, so that's what happened. You don't even think about it.
Sometimes it might be a credible source, you know, like maybe you read it in an article in Time magazine, and then you're saying, hey, you know what I learned today? You know, I learned that San Francisco is the most expensive city in the country. Okay, you don't really know that that's a fact, but you made the decision to believe in the credible source, and that happens a lot of times. You know, a lot of times I'll say, you know, according to what I read today, boom, 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 because I don't know how I feel about it. I'm on the fence about it. Katie will be like, "Is that true?" And I'll be like, according to what the guy said on the interview or wherever I got it, because that's my perspective and my view. But sometimes that does happen, and sometimes there's no way you should believe that person. Like, are you kidding me? Like Dylan.
Like Dylan. Don't be like Dylan.
Nothing that he says should ever be taken as even a probability, let alone a fact.
Don't be a Dylan.
Yes. Care about what you say. It is tied to you. You said it. You're the source now to whoever you said it to. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. When I'm writing too for the websites and stuff like that, I always do according, because that's what it is. It's like, you don't know if it's fact. It's a report, you know, but doesn't necessarily mean that's exactly what's going on. So it's like,
yeah, sometimes you got to reference them, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. According to the Wrestling Observer, this was said, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't necessarily mean it's true or accurate, whatever, but, you know, got to make sense of all that. So cool. Guys, if you like what you're hearing, go to rvdpod.com. You can get all exclusive clips of Rob and I talking about all different types of topics and stuff like that. And these RVDologies that you hear at the end of the show, too, get posted up on there. Go to Rumble. I will share that link, too, in the clips below and all that stuff.
And maybe next week we'll go live on my YouTube for a few minutes to warm up before we record the show. And if so, then we need some fan interaction.
We need a little bit of fan interaction. So keep your eyes peeled. We'll post on Rob's socials. We'll post on RVD Pod at RVD Pod. But yeah, follow Rob at The Real RVD. Follow me at Dominic D'Angelo. Give us all types of feedback. If you like what you're hearing, rate us on Spotify, rate us on Apple iTunes, whatever it's called, Apple Podcasts, and give us some good reviews and give us some feedback. Would like to hear what you guys have to say.
So, we'll do that live thing on Thursday.
That's Thanksgiving, so maybe.
Oh, fuck. All right. Well, you know what? Fuck it. Shitty idea. Fuck it. We'll do it live.
Fuck it. We'll do it live.
All right, cool. Whatever. Watch like you said. Watch for it.
Keep your peepers peeled, guys. We'll see you next time here.
Be impeccable with your words.
Right.
Van Terminator! Van Crushinator!